Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video. Make sure you like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So last night Joe Biden decided to stop playing Mario Kart for once and decided to go on CNN and have a town hall. Now, I'm not going to really throw any dirt on Joe Biden for having a town hall. I think it's very important that politicians take answers from the voters. I'm not going to drag Joe Biden for that alone. But I will say that the town hall was a massive disaster. I'm going to show the highlights. We're going to do some analysis. And it really started when Joe Biden walked up on stage and met with Anderson Cooper, and he had this to say. Take a listen.
Good to be back, man.
It's nice to see you, sir.
And you know you enjoy being home with the baby more. I don't want to hear that.
I do, yes. Yeah, he's 9.5 months, so I'm very happy.
No. Everybody knows I like kids better than people.
He likes kids better than people, he said. Joe Biden walked in. He mumbled a lot. He kind of, minces his words around and, says very unorthodox things typically. But now he says that he likes kids better than people. That is definitely a Biden gaffe. We know Biden has shown many signs of mental decline throughout his entire campaign, throughout his presidency, through the years that were even leading up to his campaign. He showed a massive amount of mental deterioration. But now he decides to say that he likes kids better than people. It's weird. It's also like bad optics for Biden because there's this idea that Biden's creepy as he is around children, and he sniffs children on many occasions. And now he's going to go out there and say that he likes kids better than people. It's also ironic because Democrats typically don't see unborn children as people, or in some cases, like in the case of Governor Northam, even babies who are, after birth, doesn't really see them as people necessarily. So it kind of is just bad optics all around for Biden. Just plays into the narrative that Biden is creepy and plays into the narrative that Democrats don't see children, especially little kids or unborn children, as people. And that's really the way it is. And Biden went on, and he said many false statements throughout this town hall, including this one about the vaccine. Take a listen.
It's one thing to have the vaccine, which we didn't have when we came into office, but a vaccinator. How do you get the vaccine into someone's arm?
So Biden said that we didn't have the vaccine when he came into office, which is entirely false. Late in Trump's term, the vaccine was finalized, and before Trump left office, many people were already getting the vaccine, including Joe Biden, who received his second dose of the vaccine on January 11th, 2021, approximately 10 days before he took office. So you can see this. And more on vaccines, Joe Biden apparently doesn't think that minorities know how to use the internet. Take a listen.
The other portion is a lot of people don't know how to register. Not everybody in the community, in the Hispanic and the African American community, particularly in rural areas that are distant and or inner city districts, know how to get online to determine how to get in line for that COVID vaccination at the Walgreens or at the particular store.
So besides the point, we know that Biden is kind of mumbling as he usually does throughout his entire answer. The question was surrounding race disparity in COVID vaccination, saying that, most of the people that are getting the vaccine are white and Asian and not black and Hispanic. Biden then goes on to say that minorities don't know how to use the internet, which is completely ridiculous. I grew up, I had a lot of friends who were minorities, whether they were black or whether they were Hispanic, and a lot of these people, some of them were disadvantaged people, but a lot of them knew how to use the internet. You could easily go to a library and use the internet. You can easily use the internet at school, pretty much anywhere. You can use the internet. And he says a lot of these minorities live in rural areas. Well, besides the, Delta of Mississippi, most black Americans live in urban areas and black majority suburbs in many cases. Very few black people actually live in rural areas outside of the South. And besides, some places in, Texas and in New Mexico, Hispanic Americans typically also live in urban or suburban areas. So the fact that he said rural areas, it's kind of, I guess you would say, a gaffe And also in terms of racial disparity, if rural areas are a problem, then it's mainly an income thing more than a race thing, but that's beside the point. But more on race, Joe Biden had several racial gaffes throughout this town hall, including this very bizarre racial gaffe. Take a listen.
And I'm going to say something's going to get me in trouble, which I couldn't go through a whole show without doing that. And that is that, think about it. If you want to know where the American public is, look at the money being spent on advertising. Did you ever 5 years ago think every second or third ad out of 5 or 6 you'd turn on would be biracial couples? No, I'm not being facetious. The reason I'm so hopeful is this new generation.
So Biden goes on to say that racial disparities and racism and everything is going to be solved because compared to 5 years ago, there's slightly more interracial couples in our commercials, which I don't really have any data on that. Typically, it does seem like, yes, more often you are seeing, interracial couples in commercials. But either way, interracial couples are actually pretty rare. Most people typically do, date and marry within their own racial groups, but that's really beside the point. The bottom line is, what do Black communities need? They need lower crime. They need better schools. They need to fix the problems of, fatherlessness. Putting more interracial couples into TV shows does really absolutely nothing. There's absolutely no benefit to the society. I'm not saying it's a drawback. I'm just saying there's really no benefit to it. And Biden's cheering that as a sign of progress. I mean, obviously, it shouldn't really matter. But either way, in the past 5 years or so, interracial couples haven't really been something that was, frowned upon 5 to 10 years ago. Maybe like 40 or 50 years ago, yes, it was. But, 5 years ago, there was roughly around the same amount of interracial couples as there are today. In fact, there's probably, less today, given, the racial tensions that we've seen rise up ever since, 2014, 2015. So either way, Biden, I just don't think his mind is really mentally there. He just doesn't know what he's talking about. And it's just like a jumble of absolute nonsense. But that doesn't mean that old Biden can't come through sometimes. That doesn't mean that old Biden can't come through. And usually he'll stop himself before he does. But Biden did actually kind of make my point that I just made right here in his town hall in regards to race and police violence. Take a listen.
And the fact is that the concern in many minority communities is black on black, Hispanic on Hispanic, not just, but here's the deal. There has to be much more serious, much more serious determination as to what the background and the attitudes of the recruit is.
So Biden actually said something I agree with. He said that the number one priority in Black communities, it's not police. It's black on black crime, which is largely true. Police shoot and kill around, 10 to 15 unarmed black men a year, but around, 1,000 of unarmed black men typically are killed by Black Americans. This is a large problem. A lot of it stems from fatherlessness and culture. And Biden actually said something that I agree with, and then he stopped himself because he knew he uttered what is largely called a hate fact, something that you are not supposed to say, but is true by all counts, which is exactly what he did. But then he stopped himself. So old Joe barely came through for a second. So we got to give credit where it's due. He said something that nobody in BLM or the Democrat Party would ever think about uttering. But that's mainly because of his mental state. He veered off from the agenda. He did a little deviation. It's called we do a little deviation. But that's beside the point. I also wanted to bring this up yesterday. Had nothing to do with Biden's town hall, but just shows you where the Democrat Party really is when it comes to identity politics, because people need help right now. This is a pandemic. A lot of small businesses are struggling because of the lockdowns, because of COVID. And what does Jen Psaki have to say about this? Take a listen.
What is President Biden doing for my small business? First and foremost, he nominated a woman to lead the Small Business Administration who formerly worked there.
A woman to lead the Small Business Administration. Donald Trump had a woman who led the Small Business Administration. Guess what? I didn't care because it doesn't matter. And it shouldn't matter. People are struggling right now. It doesn't matter if you have a white man, black woman, doesn't matter who's up there. People want results from their government. People want the government to do something for them, especially their small businesses. And, a lot of the time it includes getting the government out of the way, especially like ending the lockdowns. But that's really beside the point. People want results from their government. A lot of people don't care if it's a woman or a man, because either way, they're going to be getting screwed over by this administration, and you could see this. It's the same old, same old. You're putting lipstick on a pig. It's still a pig. That's just the way it is. And moving forward, we're about to see 4 years of this absolute cringe, but Donald Trump, hopefully, he'll come back stronger, and he'll win in the 2024 election. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Smash that like button down below, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media, including Alt Tech. The link is in the description below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.